Hello, welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So happy to have you with me. It's even a little past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And boy, do we have a show this evening. Yes, we do. I have not done a show like this in a long, buckle up is what I will tell you. This will be a interesting show with some back and forth. Some of you will be very happy about this. Some of you will not be, because I'm going to be honest about what actually I think happened at the World Economic Forum and Trump's speech and what he said and what he didn't say. Both of those things and some of the stuff the exaggerations and the truths that he did both, which is always, this is not going to be a beat up on Trump, or is it going to be Trump is awesome? It'll be neither of those. It never really is. But there will be some beating up on Trump, and it will be some Trump is right. There'll be some of both of those in this one. But to be forward, it's going to be a good one. He went to the World Economic Forum, hung out with, Klaus Schwab and Eats the Bugs. He hung out with them and decided to chat about things, some of the things, I don't know why, he just kind of riffed on some things, which seemed awkward. But it does sometimes make him seem like he's just trying too damn hard sometimes. I think that happens often. But that doesn't mean he was necessarily wrong on things. Some things he was. Doesn't mean he's wrong on some things. And the worst thing I get over this is so many people will look at him and feel unsure. What so many people want in business across this world, in business, is stability. Boy, does he not produce that. He does not produce that at all. All right. I'm going to go down this road. Before I go down this road, this will be an interesting one. I'll take your comments. I'll go back and forth. It's going to be a long night, I think, with some of you, but I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll be a good show after all. And there'll be a lot of clips for you to take and call me names and such. So that's always a big benefit too. Before we start, click the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Let's do it, because you're going to forget. And so am I. We're going to get into it and forget. So please do so. If you know people who care about Trump, good or bad, have them please share this, repost this someplace. And if you're not become a member to the page or follow or whatever, please do that too. It does matter. I would appreciate that if you could do it. Every little bit does count. And again, I'm trying to grow this to the best of my ability and give you some interesting and fun and cool stuff to chat about as always. So let us, if we can, it begins. All right. Let's see what he has to say.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. It's great to be back in beautiful Davos, Switzerland.
You're happy to me. I like that.
And to address so many respected business leaders, so many friends, few enemies.
He's open. Look, he is a comedian.
And
he's
all
good at
of
this.
The distinguished guests. It's a who's who.
He is good at this.
That. I've come to this year's World Economic Forum with truly phenomenal news from America.
Okay, he's got good news.
Yesterday marked the 1-year anniversary of my inauguration, and today, after 12 months back in the White House, our economy is booming, growth is exploding, productivity is surging, investment is soaring, incomes are rising, inflation has been defeated, our previously open and dangerous border is closed. And
all right, I like how he starts the thing, right? The inflation's not been defeated, but it is lower. That's true. It's accurate. The border is, people love it. That's actually working. But he's just like, where everything is perfect. I think it's imperfect. Inflation is down. True. But it's not defeated. We still are, 2%, whatever it is, whatever we are at, we're at something. So inflation is still going, but not defeated. A little bit exaggeration.
Impenetrable. And the United States is in the midst of the fastest and most dramatic economic turnaround in our country's history.
Now, this piece is also true. However, it is a massive gamble. And this is the part that I think scares a lot of people, me included. Trump is rolling the dice big time on this. If his stuff doesn't go well, this is a disaster. If it goes well, he's going to be a hero. So he's really gambling on this.
Under the Biden administration, America was plagued by the nightmare of stagflation, meaning low growth, and high inflation, a recipe for misery, failure, and decline.
Not wrong.
But now, after just 1 year of my policies, we are witnessing the exact opposite.
Now, this is a little bit unfair, but I shouldn't say unfair. It is fair because it's how it works, but it's a little bit of an exaggeration. It isn't just his policies. We are still recovering from the lockdowns. And in everything that we've said, we can see it's been going up since the lockdowns. Even when Biden was still president, it was starting to go up from the lockdown. So again, to be forward, whoever is the president gets the credit. So that is fair. So I shouldn't say it's not fair. It is fair. If you're the president, you get the credit, or no matter what it is, whether it's your economy or not, you get it. It's how it works. However, it's not exactly accurate that it's booming because of his policies. And I'm not even sure it's booming. So I'll cover that piece too.
Virtually no inflation and extraordinarily high economic growth. Growth like I believe you'll see very shortly our country has never seen before. Perhaps no country has ever seen before.
Now that obviously is untrue, but that's okay. What he means is we're going to start seeing good things. This is much better communication than he's had in the past. His communication about has been terrible. It's been tomorrow and blah, 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 blah. Okay, maybe it's going to happen. The reality of it is there good and improved GDP? Yes. But here's the problem. It is not helping out with employment. Employment is the problem. Employment's going down. That's the problem. He's not mentioning that piece. So he's not wrong, but he's not mentioning that employment is going down. In fact, even average salaries are going down.
Over the past 3 months, core inflation has been just 1.6%.
Yeah, big about 2%.
Meanwhile, fourth quarter growth is projected to be 5.4%, far greater than anybody other than myself and a few others had predicted.
This part's not wrong, but the issue is, while that's happening, employment isn't going up. So are people who have assets making more money? Yes, accurate. But if you don't have assets, this isn't helping you, right? That's the thing he's not saying. If you're someone who owns several homes, or you have a big business, or you have a bunch of assets, a lot of investments, you're good. That's true. But if you're not that person, this is not a boom for you.
Since the election, the stock market has set 52 all-time high records. So that's in
stock market again.
We
have
year,
assets.
52 records. Adding.
I hope all of you have millions of dollars in assets. If you do, he's completely correct.
$9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, 401ks.
To retirement accounts.
People's
assets.
Savings. People are doing very well. They're very happy with me.
Okay, people who have assets.
Since my inauguration, we've lifted more than 1.2 million people off of food stamps. And after 4 years,
that's okay,
in which Biden secured less than $1 trillion of new investment in our country.
Now, this he's absolutely correct on, and I will give him credit for this completely. The amount of investment and the deals he's made far outpaced Biden. It's not even close. Biden was a disaster at that. He was terrible at that relative to Trump. That's true. But I go back to the same thing again, which is his policies are long-term policies. They're not short-term policies. So if you're trying to make a tariff policy and then get investment in the country, that you're not going to see that in 3 months, assuming that it works. You're not going to see it for at least a year, if not 2, 3, 4, 5 years. These are long-term investments, long-term policies. And he's like, see, it's great now. It's not great now unless you have assets.
That 1 trillion, substantially less than that. In 4 years, we've secured commitments for a record-breaking $18 trillion. And we think when the final numbers come out, they'll be closer to $20 trillion of investment.
But that's the point. The numbers aren't out yet, which means you're not building yet, right? This is a long-term thing. And at least in this speech, he was better with his communication, but still not great.
That's never been done by any country at any time, not even close.
Well, because that amount of money is
just over 1 year ago, under the radical left Democrats, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Maybe.
In fact, the United States economy is on pace to grow at double the rate that was projected by the IMF.
Again, that's true if you have assets. John says many people do have 401ks. So they may be able to retire sooner or more comfortably. Yes, assuming the stock market keeps growing. The problem is the stock market may fail. We don't know that. So you may be right. So if you have assets, it's good. The problem is whenever the AI bubble fails, whenever that happens, I don't think it's going to happen this year. My gut says the year after. He'll keep spending money. He won't do it after the election. When the AI bubble pops, that's when we might see it. So, John, if I were you and you could retire, I might retire this year and not next year. Get some of that cash out now. Anyway, I'm just saying that might be an issue to deal with. So that may be true, right? People who have assets are doing better. That's true. And they like him. Most of us don't have assets. Most of us don't have, you don't have many assets. Most of us don't. But he speaks about that even in his
just last April. And with my growth and tariff policies, it should be much higher. I really believe we can be much higher than that. And this is all great news, and it's great for all nations.
But he shows up to the World Economic Forum and says, let me tell you how awesome America is. Oh, sorry.
The USA is the economic engine on the planet. And when America booms, the entire world booms. It's been the history. When it goes bad, it goes bad. You all follow us down and you follow us up. And we're at a point that I don't believe we've ever been. I never thought we could do it this quickly.
But here's the problem that you're also not getting. Starting with Biden and him following it. So I will start blaming Biden, but he has not stopped this. De-dollarization is going to change that. There was a time prior to Biden where I believe, if my numbers are correct, someone could check me, over 80% of all international transactions were under dollar. Now it's under 60%. That 20% is huge. Not just that. You now have countries like Japan, the EU, considering not buying or slowly buying our bonds now and not doing it. When that begins to happen, we could be in trouble because they're de-dollarizing. Now, again, de-dollarization is not tomorrow. I've been talking about this for, 2-3 years? And half you're like, that's dumb. BRICS is never going to work. Blah, 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 blah. You're all full of shit. It's happening in front of our eyes, just slowly. It's not tomorrow, but it's happening. So they recognize this. And if you watch what the other people said, the EU, whatever her leader is, president, said something already, and so did the Canadians. They're all like, we're going to stop doing deals with China. And China's like, you can do deals with us only if it's in Chinese yuan or Russian rubles. That's it. They're doing those deals now. The China may actually go to the euro if this happens. China hasn't gone. They've been saying no because China realized the euro's been linked to the dollar. So they're like, we're not taking euros. Nope. And the Russians are like, we don't take them anymore. Nope. Sorry. You want our oil? You can have it, but no. That's the real reason why we went to Venezuela. They'll give you the reason why it's not. It's to make sure that Venezuelan oil will be bought with dollars. That's the actual reason why everything else is just stuff they tell you. The reality is that. Because again, when you have under 60% of the world's international transactions being done not in dollars, what he just said will soon not be true anymore. What he's saying now is still true. But 5-10 years from now, won't be if this keeps going.
My biggest surprise is I thought it would take more than a year, maybe like a year and 1 month.
It's cracking jokes.
But
I mean,
it's
he's good at
happened
it.
very quickly. This afternoon, I want to discuss how we have achieved this economic miracle, how we intend to raise living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before.
Okay, I like that concept, but he hasn't done it so far. Living standards of Americans have not been going up. Again, it's not just him, but yes, they have not been.
And perhaps how you two and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing, because certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly.
Now, this part here, he does some stuff that I could really see as, I mean, just like he's very negative stuff, I'll say. There we go. Yes. Mike says the Japanese bond market is trying to rocket because they're turning down their money printer. Yes. Now, the good and the bad of Japan, you're right. Japan has a history and a culture of their national bank being directly involved in their economy, like directly involved. That, can be both good and bad, as you probably know, Mike. That can be both. But for them, it's they accept it. The people aren't upset by it. The government expects it. Like, it's their culture. We haven't had that culture, but now we're kind of thinking about that too. But yeah, it's a whole different way. So yes. So
anymore, they're not recognizable, and we can argue about it, but there's no argument. Friends come back from different places. I don't want to insult anybody and say I don't recognize it. And that's not in a positive way. That's in a very negative way. And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go
Do you
good.
though? Do you?
But it's not heading in the right direction.
Well, that part is true. He's absolutely correct. Europe is failing in many ways, politically, financially, energy, culturally. He's correct. It is failing in many ways. And one of the reasons why it's failing is because they've been leaning on America for so long. This part, he's 100% correct. He actually says it, and this part is correct. Europe has been leaning on America, right? Mearsheimer has been saying this for years. He went to the EU and said, stop leaning on America, be your own people, and we'll like you more, and we'll respect you more. And they laughed at him. They laughed at Mearsheimer, dummy. Now they're like, damn, that guy was right. Because here's the problem. People like Trump and anyone who wants power, most of the time, they just respect strength and power. And when Europe doesn't do it and kowtows to Trump, then he just goes, good, I'll keep taking advantage of you, right? You have to stand up. And then he goes, oh, okay, stand up. Okay, I got you. And that's what Mearsheimer's been saying for years. People haven't been listening to it. Now, to be forward, they would be better if they could do it. I agree. Europe should be stronger on its own. It isn't.
Decades, it became conventional wisdom in Washington and European capitals that the only way to grow a modern Western economy was through ever-increasing government spending.
Yep, it's true.
Unchecked mass migration and endless foreign imports.
He's not wrong. That has been the way we've been thinking for decades, and Europe just followed. He's right.
Consensus was that so-called dirty jobs and heavy industry should be sent elsewhere, that affordable energy should be replaced by the Green New Scam.
This is New York State. Exactly. This is half of Europe at least. He's correct. And I hate it. He is absolutely correct. This is exactly what's been happening. Yes.
And that countries could be propped up by importing new and entirely different populations from faraway lands. This was the path.
Yeah, but that has been America for, centuries, for centuries. America has always built itself upon immigrant cheap labor, right? Whether it was slaves to Southern Europeans, Eastern Europeans, Mexicans, Middle Easterners, insert group, South Americans, whatever. We've always done that. So that's been that part's not a new thing. The difference is we have, as America, we have in the past been great relative to other nations at assimilation. Assimilation, we have in the past been very good at assimilation. The exception, of course, obviously was our freedmen population. Of course, that was an exception. We did not assimilate them well at all, literally apartheid. So that's the big exception. But if you look at other peoples who came to America, Hispanic people, Europeans, even Asians, we were actually pretty good at assimilating relative to other nations. We weren't great at it, but you could not have found a better nation. But after the 60s, we threw so much at one point, and at the same time, we looked upon assimilation as a bad thing, starting in about the 60s, 70s, 80s, and it changed. Now, don't get me wrong, we're still pretty good at assimilating compared to other nations, but we've become worse at it, though.
That sleepy Joe Biden administration and many other Western governments very foolishly followed, turning their backs on everything that makes nations rich and powerful and strong. And there's so much potential in so many nations. The result was record budget and trade deficits and a growing sovereign deficit driven by the largest wave of mass migration in Europe.
He's not wrong, except here's the problem he's not saying, right? The part he's not saying is a huge chunk of that migration is directly due to American foreign policy. A huge chunk of it is directly connected to American foreign policy. If we would leave these countries alone, then they wouldn't be getting bombed and destroyed, and then they wouldn't be flooding Europe and America. Oh, Larry, you're bleeding heart. I don't care if I'm right. Right? Where did they all came from? The Middle East. Why? We were bombing Afghanistan, invading Iraq, and all the stupid shit we did in those countries, and they had to go somewhere. Where'd they go? Okay, you can be bombed out or you can run someplace else. They ran someplace else. Of course they did. Of course they did. All our stupid policies trying to control South America, where they are running to us. Leave them alone, and they won't come to us. Most people do not want to leave their country. Some do. Most don't. Most people like their country. They grew up in there, their family's there, their language, the culture. Most people like to stay in their own countries. Most people do. I'm not mad at that. Good for you. I like my country. I'm not going anywhere. So here we go. So why in the world would you create an environment to where huge chunks would leave? Would you have normal immigration here? Of course you would. That's a normal thing. But we have made it worse. And of course, Biden made the big error, which is horrible. And now we're making things worse now with our immigration policy. With our now, the way we're dealing with ICE now is a terrible way we're dealing with ICE. We're not helping each other at all. We're completely not making this work well at all. He'll cover that too.
Human history. We've never seen anything like it. Quite frankly, many parts of our world are being destroyed before our very eyes. And
yes, but we're doing it. That's the part he won't bring up. Mike says, I think part of why we've been better at assimilation is because migrants came here wanting to be American. Migration to Europe has largely been to take advantage of the social welfare. Two parts to that. One, I think you're right. Most people, the idea that Ronald Reagan had was a wonderful idea that many people really loved. And I love the idea, which is America is the shining city on the hill. Everybody wants to come here to be great, to be wonderful. I love that idea. I really do. I want America to be that. But I want it for people who, to your point, aren't coming to America for desperation. I want them to come because they want to be great, right? This way we have a self-selection process that we don't have to worry about, right? If that's what America becomes, then we have a much more of a self-selection process. And we do see that from some nations. For example, Nigeria, as an example, even China, believe it or not. Nigeria, as far as an African nation is a big, prosperous African nation relative to other African nations. So many of the Nigerian people who come here are self-selecting. Those who want to be more entrepreneurial, those who want to be more, American. Same with China. Most Chinese people who come here want to be more entrepreneurial, want to be more American. That's why you find that when they come here, they tend to do better financially, right? Nigerians and Chinese, many South Asians, you see that very common. But the people who are flooding here from the Middle East, they're desperate. They're just here for help, right? That's the issue. Now, will we take some of those? Of course we should, but not in mass. Of course not. But I think you have a valid point. So yes, Nosy says, look where we came from. The settlers were immigrants, aka thieves. They're still thieves. Not much has changed in 300 years. Well, he will bring up some of that too. So Phil, they give it $2, my friend. De Gaulle seemed right with strategic independence. De Gaulle, as much as I didn't like aspects of De Gaulle, that dude was right. For those who don't know, De Gaulle was a general. I think it was a general, right? French general originally, and then became part of the French government in exile when the Germans controlled France, and then returned afterwards to control France. He was a president for a while, and so yeah, he was like, "Look, we don't need America to be our dad. We kind of want to be our own countries." And they were like, "Stupid De Gaulle." Well, he was kind of right. So yes, absolutely. So anyway, Shelley says, if we were to really assimilate, we'd be living on reservations. It's kind of funny.
the leaders don't even understand what's happening. And the ones that do understand aren't doing anything about it. Virtually all of the so-called experts predicted my plans to end this failed model would trigger a global recession and runaway inflation. But we have proven them wrong. It's actually just the opposite. In 1 year, our agenda has produced a transformation like America has not seen in over 100 years.
That's true, but not because of that, because of AI. So he, again, correct in what he's saying, but he is insinuating that it's because of him. That's not accurate. It's because of AI more than anything else, right? So yeah, big difference in that piece.
Instead of closing down energy plants, we're opening them up. Instead of building ineffective, money-losing windmills, we're taking them down and not approving any.
Well, I'm not mad at that, but yes, that's true. I'm not mad at that. Yes, he's actually moving towards nuclear. I've been saying this. Oh, right, 9 years. Where you been? 9 years I've been saying this. Yes. Bronner says, our intervention in foreign lands creates blowback, as Ron Paul called it. The mass flooding of immigrants to the UK is part of blowback. Yes. And the UK perpetuates it with the nanny state they've created. Yes. Correct. Accurate statement. That's my entire point. I agree with you completely, Bronner. This is but no president will say this. No president.
Instead of empowering bureaucrats, we're firing them, and they're going out and getting jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times what they were making.
I want to be clear on this piece here. He's saying instead of empowering them, we're firing bureaucrats. True. And that's not a bad thing. This is good. He's saying, but they're going into the private sector and getting jobs for 2 or 3 times. Yes, some of his buddies are, but most are not. Most of the people who are getting let go from government jobs are actually in trouble. That's the reality, because they've been accustomed to this concept, right? I can show up, get a government job, be safe. Now they're going to the private sector. Now, some of his heavy hitter friends, that's true, because they leave and they go to a consulting firm or something. But the average person, no.
In government. So they started off hating me when we fired them, and now they love me.
That's not true.
Instead of raising taxes on domestic producers, we're lowering them and raising tariffs on foreign nations to pay for the damage that they've caused.
Okay.
In 12 months, we have removed over.
Okay, that part is absolutely not true. Not true at all. No. Tariffs are not taxes on other countries. I know people don't believe that. Tariffs are taxes on American companies. Now, can they work? It depends on what you're trying to achieve. The government isn't making money from other companies or countries. The government's making money from local companies in America. They're paying the tariff. So that's how that actually works. So can they work to achieve something? Okay. If your goal is to get a person to not buy, say, a Korean-made TV and to buy an American-made TV, as an example, I'm making this up, right? Do people buy TVs? Whatever, monitor. I'm going to say TV because I'm old. So TV, right? So I want to buy an American TV instead of a Korean TV. So I throw tariffs on Korea. Okay. Well, now that TV becomes more expensive in the store. So I look at a Korean TV. Oh, it's more expensive. Now, if my only other option is an American TV and I want a TV, the odds are I'm not that low to the Korean TV. If the price is so expensive, I'll buy the American TV. The American company makes money. Makes sense, right? That in theory, that's how that could work. The problem is, obviously, what if I either don't buy a TV, option 1, or option 2, I go, I don't like the Korean TV, I'll buy the Japanese TV. Well, then the American TV didn't work. I have to tariff everybody except the American company. Then it could work. But even that, how often do you buy a TV? And then how loyal am I to the Korean or Japanese brand that I like? So even if that is to work, it will take years for that to work. Not just that. Now, if there's all of a sudden an increase in American TVs, say it does work and I want more American TVs now, okay. How fast can the American TV manufacturer get to working so that he can make enough TVs? Do we have enough manufacturing here in America or not? And let's say we don't. Well, you can't build a factory in 5 days. It might take a year or 2 to build a factory. So again, even if it does work, and now we're making more American TVs and we're all buying American TVs now, wonderful, I guess that's what you want to do. Got it. You helped America out. Good for you, right? You did your thing. But it may take a year or 2 before that can actually happen. All of these policies are long-term policies, assuming that they actually work. That's the issue. Robert says, if you have assets, that means Black Americans are cut out. Sadly, you are correct. Sadly, you are correct. I wish you were wrong, Robert, but you are not. This is one of the reasons why I talk often about pushing rent to own in places where there are heavily Black populations. You are correct. I agree. I wish you were wrong.
270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payrolls, the largest single-year reduction in government employment since the end of World War II. Nobody thought that was coming, but we had no choice. To make a country great, you can't have all federal jobs.
True. This is a valid point.
Spending by one.
And this piece I cannot stress. He's 100% right in this. Not only can I have only federal jobs, you also can't have industry only spurred by federal dollars. So I got to go one step further, right? Not only can you not only have federal jobs, you also can't have jobs only spurred by federal dollars. Both of those are true.
$100 billion and slash the federal budget deficit by 27% in the single.
Yeah. Okay. In theory, he is correct. However, he's got budgets now that are insane. How big is our new defense budget now? Sorry, war budget now? $1.5 trillion, something like that, whatever the hell it is. Yeah. Let's move on.
It's going to go down quite a bit more from that, driving inflation way down from the record highs of the Biden administration.
Yes, again, I got to say one more time, that was COVID lockdowns, right? So, yes. Nosy says, we fought this BS since Reagan wrote NAFTA, then slickly signed it. It was a short of the camel's back. Yes. Yes. And people always go, well, it's because Biden. Well, it's because Trump. Well, it's because Reagan. All of them do it. All of them do it. Nixon just began to kind of do the deregulation. Reagan turned it up. Slick Willie finished it off when it came to finance with ending the Glass-Steagall. Absolutely, yes. Of course. Absolutely. So, Bronna says, I thought I was white, but I have no assets. I'm sure I'll be cut out. Maybe I'm black after all. See, you're my brother after all, Bronna. See? No, the reality of what he's saying is, if you look by percentage, black Americans have far less assets compared to any other group, not just whites, Asians, Hispanics, far less assets. And that's one of the big things you find many freedmen, black Americans, American descendants of slaves, talk about, the idea of losing generational wealth, right? That concept. So, yeah. And most of those most people got it through their housing. And because since housing was legally, since the government, federal government specifically, legally banned with redlining, many black families from getting the opportunities to buy housing, that hurt a lot of generational wealth. And that's where his point comes from. So, yeah. All righty. Let's see here. Let's see. Where am I? Let me keep going if I can.
Every month, they went up and up and up. I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every single new regulation. But instead, I've cut, actually, till this point, 129 regulations for every one new regulation approved. So every time.
I like that idea completely. I think it's an amazing idea. I love that idea. So, Audrey, you look like a bot, but maybe you're not. 2025 was a job disaster. Layoffs surged their highest level in 4 years while job creation collapsed. Accurate statement. That was my entire point. I think something about, but anyway, whoever it is, Audrey, bot or not, is right. While the economy has grown, accurate, GDP has grown, accurate, employment's a disaster. And that's where we're going to see our pain. Employment's a disaster. Totally correct.
They come in with a new regulation. We do at least 10, but so far it's averaging out to 129, if you can believe it. In July, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security.
Okay, nice, but those were temporary, but still nice. Still nice.
For our great seniors. We also provided 100% expensing. That's the one they like. And bonus depreciation for all new equipment and capital.
Okay, one more time. Wonderful if you have assets. He's not wrong. Again, if you got assets, you good. He's correct. You have assets, you are good.
Investments to help companies expand and shift production to America. They are.
Now, again, if you're trying to get American manufacturing, shifting, all that kind of good stuff, one more time, I'm going to say it again because it does matter. This is not a short-term plan. This is long-term. Why didn't he show up and go, hey, this is my long-term plan? X, Y, Z over the course of 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever. Didn't say that. And people pissed off. His polling is going down. It is not working.
So in love with that. They build a plant. They're able to deduct it immediately, the whole thing, rather than waiting 38 to 41 years in the old days. This is a miracle taking place. Nobody thought it would ever be done by any country, but it's done by us.
It's a miracle.
It was what made my first term the most successful 4-year term that we've ever had from a financial standpoint. And now we've upped it. This is a 10-year program, not a 1-year program.
Okay.
But you're allowed to.
Oh, okay. See? Hey, Mike, are you watching? Did he listen to you? You said this was long term. Did he finally call you up and go, Mike, what should I say? I've been messing this up. Yeah, it's a 10-year plan. Yes. That's what I've been saying. You can't say we got a golden age tomorrow when your plans will take years before you will see any fruit. Well, not any fruit, but you'll see the fruit you talk about. Will take at least a couple of years, if not more. Paula says his polling will be in free fall if he keeps this up. You're right. He is really rolling the dice in this one, Paula. 2026 is going, the elections in 2026 are going to be a bellwether. If the Republicans do very well and keep the House and the Senate, he is golden. If that happens, he is golden. If they get their butt kicked, he's a lame duck president and we get nothing done. So Dominic says, Gen Z is struggling to find jobs these days. True. Let alone find jobs that can give them higher wages and salaries. Yes, employment is being destroyed and the state level is not making it any better, right? Not at all. D says, all these programs, no tax on tips, all have stipulations. Exactly, and the temporary. Yes, they sound nice, but they are that. Yes, they are. They have stipulations and they are temporary, both.
Deduct everything in 1 year. Used to be 38 to 41 years. With tariffs, we've radically reduced our ballooning trade deficit, which was the largest in world history. We were losing more than $1 trillion every single year, and it was just wasted. It was going to waste.
How is that possible?
But in 1 year, I slashed our monthly trade deficit by a staggering 77%. And all of this with no inflation, something everyone said could not be done.
Okay, that's absolutely not true. He's exaggerating as always. There is, of course, inflation. Absolutely true. Yes.
There were a couple of brilliant people that actually thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was doing the right thing. Now they all think I'm doing the right thing.
That's also not true. They don't all think the right thing. They don't know yet. This is the reality. This is still up in the air. This is still up in the air. I know some people like counting chickens early. This is still up in the air. This has not been told yet. This could go horribly wrong, or it could, look, this all could start working and next year you see just magic happen. Absolutely possible. So, yes. Mike says, be more like Malay who told Argentinians his cuts would hurt at first. Yes. Yes. Paula says, Trump's true believers don't accept what you're saying, Larry, even though you're right. True. You're right. You're right. I know many of them. They just say Trump is right. Trust the plan. It's always going to work. Yes. He knew it. He's playing 4D chess. And maybe it's true. I mean, maybe. If I had to guess right now, it's not looking good. That's what I would say. It's not looking good. But if anyone can pull this off, it's Trump. His sheer force of will is amazing. If someone can do it, it's him. That's it. HVAC says, if Republicans retain the House and Senate, then Trump's president for life. You may not be wrong, my friend. You may not be wrong. And I'm not even joking. And to be forward, do I think Trump would do something like just, we're not having no, I don't think that would happen. I don't think he'd do something that brazen. He'd do something like make an attempt at changing the law or fighting the amendment or something like that. And the Congress would just sit back and go, okay. And the judge will go, okay. That's what will happen. I don't think he'll just go, there's no elections. I don't think he'll do that. I think he would do something that would be legal. Yes, I'm doing air quotes. I think that's what he would do. And that's what I think Steve Bannon's considering doing already. Steve Bannon's already talking about that. So yes. So Phil, so I think I covered that piece. Yeah, right. Well, I'm getting some frozen.
Because I can't believe the numbers. American exports are now up by more than $150 billion. Domestic steel production is up by 300,000 tons a month, and it's doubling over the next 4 months.
All right. Now, steel is going up. That's true. But it's not great. That's a story he's telling away. By the way, Phil says, he's Spike Lee. Did the right thing. Thank you. Yes. Now, steel is going up, but not as much as he says. We aren't even at 2023 level of steel. 2 years ago. It went down 2024, and now it's come back up towards 2023's level. So this isn't like it's doing this. In fact, 2023 wasn't even 2019. We made more steel in 2019. I'm not joking. Again, most of this that he's talking about is coming up from the lockdowns. The majority of it is coming up from lockdowns. And I get it. It's how the game is played. You're the one who is in charge when it happens. You get credit for it. I'm just saying we shouldn't think it's because he has great policies. That's not the reason why that's happening. Most of this is happening because he's recovering from that, which it's good. I'm not mad at him. Good. I love that. Verona says, when are you going to bring up the e-files? Not at all. Zero. Not at all. Surprise.
Doubling and tripling, and we have steel plants being built all over the country. Nobody thought they'd see that. Factory construction is up by 40.
Again, my point. He's having them built. They're not built yet. You can't build physically. You can't build factories in a day. It's not how it works. So look, I hope he's right. I do. I hope that we build a bunch of steel mills and factories and they all come back. I hope he's right. But what he's saying now is exaggeration. It just is, because this stuff can't happen right away. Right? I really hope he's right. That's the issue. So Paul's with me. I want him to succeed. Me too. I wanted Biden to succeed. Clearly that didn't happen, but I wanted that too. I want our president to succeed, whoever our president is. I agree. Yes. I don't want him to fail. I love America too much for that. But man, this is the time for independents to make their voices heard. True. True. Independents are going to shape the future of American politics. And the Dems are starting to see it more than the GOP. This is an issue here right now, which is, if you've watched the people who talk, the Democrats or the left-leaning people who talk about this, they just take a dump on him. Of course. But here is my issue. Where's your guy? Where's your gal? Where's your answer? If you're a Democrat, you don't have any either. If this guy is Hitler, as they've been saying for how many years, great. They voted for Hitler twice over your person. How bad are you? You got beat by Hitler. Pretty bad. So, yeah. There we go. All righty. Let's see here.
1%. And that number is really going to skyrocket right now because that's during a process that they're putting in to get their approvals. And we've given very, very quick, fast approvals.
I like the concept. I do. I wish more states would follow. HVAC says, I think Trump might cancel. I don't think he will. As I mentioned, I don't think that's going to be the case. Hold on. Oops. Brona says, Larry, this is exactly what Trump did with bump stock ban. Told his lawyers to change the wording to make tons of American gun owners felons overnight. Yes. Yes. What people don't know is, this is reality. Trump passed more gun control laws than Obama did. That's true. And Obama, by leaps and bounds, deported more immigrants than Trump did. By leaps and bounds. It's not even close. Obama was deported way more than Trump. It's not even close. Trump can't. That's why this ICE is doing all this crazy stuff. That's the reason why. They gave them quotas. I'm not joking. They've given ICE quotas they cannot match. And I know some of you are mad at me, but I don't care. I told you this shit a year ago. The system was not set to do it. It could not do it. It's impossible. They have thrown so much. ICE's budget is huge. ICE's budget is bigger than some militaries across this country. Across this world. ICE is a massive budget. So it isn't money. You can't train the people fast enough. You don't have they're buying airplanes from defunct Spirit Airlines. I'm not joking. That's a real thing. The infrastructure does not exist and you can't build it overnight. You physically can't do it. And I said this last year and Trump said, we're going to get rid of them all next year. No, you're not. You can't. It doesn't exist. You can't. Physically impossible. Obama's making him look like a chump when it comes to deporting. Why? Because the system wasn't set here. Why? Because Biden didn't do anything for it. The system was destroyed and devastated. It would take 4 years to rebuild the infrastructure to do it, at least, if not more. At least, if not more. It was a promise he could never keep. So why make it? Again, terrible communication. Terrible. Anyway, let me keep going here. Hold on.
In the process, we've made historic trade deals with partners covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Some of the greatest companies and countries.
Also true. But again, the money coming in doesn't happen now. I know I'm like a broken record, but he's just like, we're doing great now. No, we're not. No, we're not. The employment is not doing great now.
In the world, we have countries as our partner too. The European nations, Japan, South Korea, they're our partners. They've gone into massive deals with us, especially on oil and gas.
True.
And these agreements.
But we have not seen the outcome of any of this yet, right? They agreed to this like 2 months ago or whatever it was. It was relatively recently. We can't see anything with that yet. It's not possible. Robert says, many of the government workers who were let go were black, specifically black women. True. Black women by percentages very heavily work for the government. That's true. Who already experienced discrimination in the private sector, but now it's going to be justified with CRT and DEI. There's some truth to that. But discrimination in the private sector, to be forward with you, of black women isn't because of racism. And I don't mean to be cruel or flippant. I'm just being very forward. I know I do I'm a business consultant. The issue isn't racism. The issue is fear. A black woman in any type of job that has challenging or other people around it, you're begging to be sued. And it sounds horrible, but it's just true. And small business owners are afraid because one lawsuit, they're finished. And in places like New York State and California, there were other states that are similar too, but I know these two specifically because I've worked with both of these states. You are, as an employee, employer, assumed guilty. You have to prove your innocence. I'm not joking. If you've done any work in this, you know this is true. If a black woman says you discriminated against me, I'm guilty. I have to prove I didn't do it. And I know you go, that's not how America works. That's how America works in this policy. So small business owners get afraid and go, I can't do it. One lawsuit, I'm done. Like my business, I can't hire a black woman. You will find that happen often because other people tell stories of it. And if you're a black woman, the odds of you losing your lawsuit because you've done intersectionality, right? You're both a woman and black. The odds of losing a lawsuit are slim to none. How do I prove it? How do I prove I didn't discriminate against you because of your race or because of your gender? That's hard. Most people can't. And I got to pay a lawyer to do it anyway. And hers will be free because the lawyer will pick her up because they're going to assume that I'm going to have to pay a big payout. And it's going to be like a personal injury type. And they'll just take a cut. So yeah, that's a big issue. So yes, you're right, but it isn't only because of the reason that you might be saying. It's more than that. So Paula says, Obama loved drones more than Trump did too. Also true. Nose says, it's a beautiful day when manufacturing is brought back to the U.S. Until they get the robots up and running all the assembly, it's false hope. People I hope can see this. You are correct. You are correct. And this is what people aren't getting also. The reality of it is manufacturing in America is up. That's true. It was coming up under Biden, by the way. So it was coming up under Biden. It's up higher under Trump. Also true. Fourth quarter was up. But the problem is employment wasn't. Why? To your exact point, automation. What is destroying the factory jobs now isn't sending the jobs overseas. It's being replaced by automation. In fact, you see companies like Amazon being the example of that. They have things called, for those of you who don't know, dark factories. Dark factories means factories don't have lights. What? You don't need them. The entire factory is robots. So they turn the lights off. Robots don't need light. So the entire factory is dark, except for like the office, where like 5 guys, maybe 3 guys are who are watching the robots go. That's it. Turn lights on when a human walks in. Otherwise, no lights. They're called dark factories. That's happening. So you are correct, Nosy. It sounds good. And again, the number, he says it, manufacturing's up. True. Is employment in manufacturing up? No. Employment in manufacturing is actually down. Yes, actually down.
Raise growth and cause stock markets to boom, not only in the U.S., but virtually every country that came to make a deal, because as you've learned, when the United States goes up, you follow. It's really become a staple. In America, I've stopped the nation.
He says that, and he doesn't recognize that as it's changing. The Canadian Prime Minister spoke about that during the WEF, his speech. He talked about, we got to walk away. He's like, we have to walk away. He's like, we have to make it to where we just do our own deals. we can't rely on America anymore. So he literally said that. He's like, we can't. He's making deals now with China. Literally, he's making deals with China. So now they're going to start letting Chinese EVs and such into the EU, into into Canada, all over the place. Well, who's going to buy Teslas then? What's going to happen eventually? People are going to go across it to Canada, buy a Chinese EV, and then bring it back to America. They're like, wow, I want that one. Watch that happen. You're going to see it. It's happening already in New York City. I see foreign EVs in New York City already. Yes, already I see them. That's going to start happening. So this is a problem. Polo says manufacturing is about increasing production, and robots do that. Yes. Correct. Absolutely.
And wrecking energy policies that drive up prices while sending jobs and factories to the world's worst polluters. They are indeed polluters under.
That's true, but he doesn't care about that. So he's right, but this is him just talking trash. He didn't care, but he's correct.
Sleepy Joe Biden, new domestic oil and gas.
This is the thing that I've said before, and I don't think he can stop it. I don't think he can. He really needs to stop saying Joe Biden stuff. It makes him sound childish. It's been a year. Move on, dude. You beat him. You won. Right? The guy's got cancer. Leave him alone. Just leave Joe alone now. I get it. During the campaign, you got to beat him up. I get it. During the campaign, beat him up. First couple of months afterwards, a little punchy here or there because you're mad. I got it. It's been a year. Dude, and this is the World Economic Forum. You're going to international state going, my last guy, he was a bad guy. This is bad. Leave it alone. I don't know why he keeps doing it. It's got to stop.
Leases fell by 95%. Think of that. Then they wonder, why was gasoline going up so fast? The gasoline actually topped $5 a gallon, and some places $7 a gallon, and more than.
The average was never more than about $4.30. The average was never about more than $4.30, give or take.
100 major power plants were violently shut down by incompetent people.
True.
That had no idea what the hell they were doing. Under my leadership, U.S. natural gas production is at an all-time high by far. U.S. oil production is up by 730,000 barrels a day.
All right. See, if you notice when he gives the number, right, it's because it isn't that great. Don't get me wrong. Oil is up, but not by massive amounts. Natural gas, up by a lot. He's absolutely correct. Natural gas is up by a whole lot. Oil is up, but not great. Oil's not amazing. And I'm comparing most of this stuff to 2019, 2018, which is what I think is valid. Compared to those, it's up, but not crazy. Most of it's just coming up again. The oil is coming up because coming out of lockdowns, but natural gas is right. It's big increase in natural gas.
And last week we picked up 50 million barrels from Venezuela alone. Venezuela has been an amazing place for so many years, but then they went bad with their policies. 20 years ago, it was a great country, and now it's got problems, but we're helping them. And those 50 million barrels, we're going to be splitting up with them.
Okay, it's nice. It is. 50 million barrels is nice. But you know what? Yeah, that's not great. And we're not helping. I mean, we just kidnapped their leader. That's not helping. So that's not true. But again, the reason for Venezuela, he makes this all up. The reason Venezuela is to make sure those dollars are being bought. All that gas and oil is being bought in US dollars. That's the reason. We cannot move. If once the US dollar is under 40% of international trade, once it goes under 40%, that's basically the game. Like, that's the game. We got to go to war with the entire world. That's the game. We have to. We have to force people to use our dollars. When people you're seeing it already. If you look around the world already, there are a whole lot of countries right now who are no longer keeping mass amounts of dollars in their reserves. They're moving to one of three things. Literally cryptocurrencies. That's happening. It is not as much, but it's a thing. But precious metals. They're buying gold, silver, all those things. That's in their reserve, heavy chunks of that, and other currencies. Euros, yuan, rubles. You stop putting rubles? What? As a reserve currency? Are you high? Why? Got to buy that gas. Got to buy that oil. Because the Russians are saying, we're taking yuan or rubles. That's it. Otherwise, you can't have our oil. They're literally saying that. You can't have it. Sorry. They're doing that. because they're de-dollarizing. So don't think it's anything except that. That's what it is. That is what it is. So yes. So Phil says there's a steady supply of natural gas at your local Chipotle's. True. Adirondack, too many other politicians are falling to that Trump name-calling Taos behavior. They see it as a winning move somehow. It is. It is. I do it sometimes too. Why? Because it shows strength. And when people are worried or scared, they like strength. It's true. It does work, Adirondack. I wish it didn't, but it does. Not constantly, right? He does it all the time. Every once in a while doing it, you do see it does work sometimes. It does. Strayer, how are you? Adolescent was my word for the Biden BS, but childish. Yes, it is. Like, it's enough. I'm done. So, like, move on. Like, move on. You got to move on with that. It's not good. So, Paulo says, I don't care about Joe Biden. Yes, I care that raspberries were $7.99 a carton as opposed to $2.49 it was a year ago. Yes, absolutely. That's what, yes, move on to Biden stuff. It's done. Too late for that stuff. I wish they would stop that. Just, anyway. The beauty says, Larry, love you, but you're not seeing the bigger picture with Venezuela. In fact, there may be a deal made with Maduro in order to get things done. Seriously, the country was in peril. We both can win. I'm not saying that you can't fix Venezuela. I want to be clear on that. We could. I'm not saying Venezuela will or won't be better off without Maduro. They might. But the regime is still there. The corruption is still there. Maduro is gone. The corruption hasn't gone away. They're still in the same world they were before. So that hasn't changed. Can they shift it? Maybe. Maybe this was the fear that will fix Venezuela. Maybe. I'm not saying that can't happen. But if you look at the last countries who tried that one, it did not work well. It didn't work well with Iraq. It didn't work well with Afghanistan. It hasn't worked well with Syria, right? It hasn't. Could this be the one? Maybe. But even if it happens, that's not the reason. There are literally dozens of countries in terrible peril. It's not just Venezuela. There's tons of them. There's lots of countries in terrible peril. Lots of all over the world. Tons of them that are really in trouble. Why aren't we invading them? There's no oil that needs to be purchased in dollars. So while this may work out well and we may help them, maybe, I don't know that. That would be wonderful if we could. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's not why we did it. We did it to ensure those dollars are being bought. That oil is being bought in dollars. That's why we did it. Could there be other things around it? Sure. The drugs or whatever. I mean, maybe, I don't know. That's just stuff. Remember, it was drugs. Now it's not drugs anymore. Whatever. My point being, could we, if we cared, make Venezuela great again? Yes. Will we? Our recent history has said no. Is that why we invaded? No. I'm sorry. Is that why we took over their leadership? We didn't really invade. Is that why? No. It's because we wanted to make sure that oil will be traded in dollars. And now it will be. Now, if that's what happens, if their regime goes, you know what? Trade in dollars. Yes. And we will not hook up with the Chinese anymore. We'll be good. All the Chinese trying to build out these ports. We won't let Chinese build the ports. We'll probably just leave them alone. And they'll probably stay as corrupt as always. Maduro won't be at the top anymore. They may even let him go. In fact, if that all happens and Maduro somehow gets off, they might let him go back. They might. I'm not even, particularly if Maduro's trial goes off into the next president doesn't care, let him go back. They won't care. As long as we get what we want, I don't think they'll care. That's my gut. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that's not the reason why. That's all.
And they'll be making more money than they've made in a long time. Venezuela is going to do fantastically well. We appreciate all of the cooperation we've been giving. We've been giving great cooperation. Once the attack ended, and they said, let's make a deal. More people should do that.
What a gangster threat right there. More people should do that because you might get attacked too. Nice all you got there. Shame if I might have to come take it.
But Venezuela is going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years. Every major oil company is coming in with us. It's amazing. It's a beautiful.
Well, that's an important piece, right? Again, as I said, it's the oil. That's the piece. He just mentioned it. This is my entire point, Beauty. This is my entire point, right? This is the reason why he did it. American oil company go in. Everything's bought and paid for in dollars. Life is good. That's why he's doing it. Will they make money? Maybe. Will we help them? Maybe. But that's side. Like, if that happens, that's the side thing.
Beautiful thing to see. The leadership of the country has been very good. They've been very, very smart. The price of gasoline is now below $2.50 a gallon. And
that is true. It is lower, but not crazy. 2019, it was like 290, 270 average. So it's a little bit low in 2019. So he's right. That's true. Polo says, am I selfish of being too worried about myself and my loved ones and my fellow Americans to give a damn about Venezuela? No, I think most Americans would have felt that way. But to be forward, is there value to you and me, personal, on a personal note, not caring about the people who are harmed, on a personal note, for us to be able to make sure that gas, that oil, I should say, is sold in dollars? Actually, yes. Yes. If the US dollar is no longer the reserve currency, when or if that happens, again, not tomorrow. It's still right now, still easy, still going to be for a while. We got a while. We do. I don't know how long, but we have years for sure. But if it ever happens when we're not reserve currency, we're in trouble. We will have to inflate our way out of debt. What does that mean? We will have to create so much inflation that the 40 or $50 trillion we're in debt will be the equivalent of today of like $1 million. So we will have to make sure those strawberries are like $40. I'm not joking. We'll have to do that. Massive inflation is the only way we can get rid of our debt. That will happen if the US dollar is no longer the reserve currency. Because if people don't want to buy our bonds, if people don't want to buy our dollars and get paid in dollars anymore, then our fiat currency has almost no value. So does it affect you? Yes, it does, right? But it's terrible. We should be changing our entire system and not having to constantly bomb and invade. I've said it before. If you guys have been following me for years, I've said this. The US dollar is backed by one thing, US military. You'll do what we say, or we'll invade, or we'll bomb you. So yes. Little Frog says, my question is, why hasn't President Trump or Governor Hochul brought up the Constitution and pipeline since their second, I'm not sure what that is, on a framework to bring it back online? I don't think they care. I don't think they care. They're going nuclear. I'm serious. You're gonna see her. She's already talking nuclear. He's talking nuclear. They're also talking nuclear now. Yeah, they're talking nuclear. They want to sell the gas. They don't want it for us to have it anymore. They've changed their entire mind.
Many states, $2.30 a gallon in most states. Then we'll soon be averaging less than $2 a gallon. In many places, it's already down even lower, $1.95 a gallon. Numerous states are at $1.99. Numbers that nobody has heard for years.
Isn't that wrong?
Actually, since my last administration, we got it down to around those numbers.
He's right.
I've signed an order directing and approval of many new nuclear reactors.
There we go. We're doing nuclear reactors. I've been telling you guys, I've been talking about this since 2018, and they've been fighting me. Now Hochul's on nuclear. Now he's on nuclear. Why won't you guys just listen to me? Why won't you listen to me? Paulo says, so our fiat currency is the heart of most of our issues then? I tend to think so. Yes. Yes, because it will destroy the way our current economy works. Most libertarians say things like, get rid of the Fed. I agree, but we can't just realistically, we can, but we should get rid of the Fed. The amount of disruption that would happen in our nation, we would fall into a chaos that everyone would beg for a dictator. We would have an actual emperor in freaking 60 days. That's how bad it would be. So my whole point has been jump on board and then figure out a way to wean ourselves off of it. I think you can do it. In fact, Trump talked about it, and so did RFK Jr. before he was elected. Trump forgot about that shit, but he talked about it before. The idea of creating some type of a fund that's backed by precious metals, cryptocurrency, other currencies that will begin to, over time, back the US dollar so we can take it off of the fiat currency, make it based upon something. The concept of the BRICS dollar or the BRICS currency, which does not exist, but the concept was you would tie it to something. So it wouldn't be backed by gold, but it'd be valued by gold. And the problem is no one's actually done that unless you peg it towards it, I guess. So that never actually happened, but that was their concept. They didn't want to create a straight fiat currency. Pegging it to something isn't the same as just having it float free. right? So it's something. That was the idea of the BRICS. Right now, what the BRICS have been doing is they've been creating a fund right now, which they're putting stuff into the fund. I think 10 years from now, whatever the number is, I'm making it up, they will begin to use that fund as a way to back a secondary currency, which they will try to make as the, reserve currency. I think that will be their attempt in X number of years from now, whatever that time frame is. So yes.
Heavy into nuclear. I was not a big fan because I didn't like the risk, the danger, but they have the progress they've made with nuclear is unbelievable. And the safety progress they've made is incredible. We're very much into the world of nuclear energy, and we can have it now at good prices and very, very safe. And we're leading the world in AI by a lot.
I'm not saying
China
by a lot.
I think President Xi respects what we've done, in part because I've allowed.
Yeah, see, we are leading now, which is good because we weren't before. If you go back about 2 years ago or so, China was ahead of us for a bit. That has changed. We are now ahead of them, but not by a lot. That's an exaggeration, but we are ahead. And that's one reason why I'm telling you, we're not going to regulate it. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. So yeah, I completely agree. So yeah. All righty. Nosy says, JFK talked about getting rid of it about 3 months before he was assassinated. Yes. Ken says same thing, right? Kennedy was also one of the toughest currencies back to precious metals. Yes. It's the right answer. Yes. You have to tie it to something. I don't know if, because the amount of dollars we have, if we can do, I don't know. I have to do homework on this. If there are enough precious metals to actually make that work, I don't know. You probably have to have some kind of reserve where X percent of the dollars out there must be physically held in reserve or something like that. So maybe, I don't know. So Robert says, if he wasn't a fan of nuclear because of the risk involved, who's going to absorb those risks? Chances are this will be Black American communities because they're the designated failure eaters. I think that has been true, but is no longer true, Robert. And the reason why I say that is I think most people know that, and you have too many people who that would feel evil to them. I'm serious that they would not do it. I don't think that's true anymore. That absolutely was true. Historically, absolutely true. But I think now I don't see that. I think what he'll do is what I was talking about, which is just let people vote. Let the local decide. Now, if Black communities agree because they voluntarily agree, then that's on the Black community, right? If they agree, but it'd be up to them to vote for it. Now, might there be some people trying to convince them with dollars? Maybe that could happen, but it wouldn't be because of race. It would be because of dollars, if anything. So I don't think that's true now as it was historically. I think there's a difference. So yeah.
These big companies building these massive buildings to build their own electric capacity. They're building their own power plants.
I don't like this idea at all. I don't like this idea at all. And I know people do. They're like, here's how we solve the problem. That's what they say. We solve the problem by letting them build their own power plants. This way, we don't have to worry about it. Well, in theory, that makes sense. And they love it. Why? Because then they have control. So now, if I'm someone who makes power plants, would I rather make a power plant for the government, for the local community, or make one for some private company? Make a private company. Of course I would. Of course I would. So now private companies make their own power plant. Well, then that power plant is going to give to the rest. No, that power is going directly to that power is going directly to that facility. Wouldn't I rather have local ownership, as I've been talking about, of nuclear power plants, so that when these people come in, the local people get paid? The local people have assets in, say, hospitals, assets in, say, electric power companies, assets in nuclear power plants. So now when Trump says we're doing great, well, more people have assets, well, then maybe that's the case. To your earlier point, Robert, if I were to put a nuclear power plant in a Black community, I'd make sure 50% of that is owned by the Black community. So now they'd have assets, as I've been talking about since we first started. If you have assets, you are doing well. So let's worry about giving people assets. Better way. So Rona says the Fed will never allow us to wean ourselves off the grip of the Fed. Yes, it'll be nasty at first, but necessary. I think the only way they'll do it is if the overwhelming populace wants it. That's the issue. It must be overwhelming pop. It can't be like 41%. It's got to be like 95% of people go, it's over. At that point, they'll find some other place, right? They'll find some other way at that point. But maybe they'll get us through AI something. Who knows?
Which, when added up, is more than any country anywhere in the world is doing. I read recently an article in the Wall Street Journal that China's creating so much energy, and they are. You got to hand it to them.
They are.
But we're creating as much or more, and we're letting them do that. I'm very proud of it. It was my.
Adronic says companies building their own generation could lead to some Enron level market manipulation on the electric grid. True. Yes. Yep. Shreya says there's a dam in Johnstown, Pennsylvania that was completely under corporate control. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, no. It was poorly managed until it destroyed the town. This is not a good idea. Trump is wrong. This is not a good idea. We want us to own it. I want local ownership. That's it. That's the issue. So Robert says, oh, he thinks I'm wrong? Giving Black Americans a targeted ownership stake in anything will circle right back to anti-racism. And how does the potential pollution offset? Okay. Number one, nuclear power plant, not a pollution piece. Two, they get to vote on it. Three, anyone can have it if they want it. If a Black community wants it, they can have it. They don't want it, they don't have to. What's the problem? Right? White communities can have it too. Hispanic communities, mixed communities, whatever. If you want it, take it. I'm not mad. Is there a better way of making this happen? If you think of a better way of building out energy to deal with the AI threat, the blockchain threat, and the lack of people having jobs, I'm all ears, brother. This sounds like a great idea to me, but maybe you got something better. I'm open to it.
The idea, I said, you can't create this much energy. We needed more than double the energy currently in the country just to take care of the AI plants.
True.
And I said, we can't do that. We have an old grid system. Then I came up with the idea, you people are brilliant. You have a lot of money. Let's see what you can do. You can build your own electric generating plants. And they looked at me. They didn't believe me. All of the names that are, I think, in the room right now, if you want to know the truth. They didn't believe it. And I said, no, you can't. They came back 2 weeks and they didn't have the plant. They said, we thought you were kidding.
Of course, because it's a terrible idea.
Not only am I not kidding, you're going to have your approvals within 2 weeks. I always say nuclear will take 3 weeks.
Well, I hope that's true. That I like.
But most aren't going that. They're going oil and gas. They're even going coal in some cases. Because of
so now this is such a terrible idea. So we're going to get local companies, which will build, to Robert's point, this will be done in Black communities. Robert, this will absolutely done. His plan will absolutely done. Mine will be done in whatever communities want. His will be done in Black communities. Why? If you look at around America, right? Around America now, where are residential communities right next to industrial communities? Poor white and Black communities. Every time. You're right. With his plan, Robert, you're correct. With my plan, you're not correct. With his plan, you are correct. This is a terrible idea. So now they're going to build oil, gas, and coal plants in places where the people who own it don't live or work. What could go wrong? This is a terrible idea. And then they'll be able to make sure that they will pay whatever they want to do whatever. This is a terrible idea. Trump, this is a terrible idea. Don't do this. This is a bad idea. The idea of letting nuclear power plants get okayed in three weeks, that's good. That's good. So Lil J says, sell the MTA to New York residents. Have assets in your MTA? Love the idea. Love the idea. I'm in. I love it. Yes. Baron says, my worry about the overwhelming populace wanting it. If the overwhelming populace are stupid and would accept the state monopoly in digital currency. Yeah, valid point. Valid point. But we're in a tough spot. How do you make that happen without people understanding both? Right? I think you have to get people to understand both. Your point's valid, though. It's true. In fact, most people, I think, want it. I think most people are okay with digital currency because they're going to want to get paid.
My landslide election victory, the United States avoided the catastrophic energy collapse which befell every European nation that pursued the Green New scam, perhaps the greatest hoax in history.
I
the
would
Green New scam, windmills all over the place, destroy your land, land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money.
He's not wrong.
Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left tried to impose on America. They tried.
It has been happening.
Hard.
He's not wrong.
Germany now generates 22% less electricity than it did in 2017. And it's not the current chancellor's fault. He's solving the problem. He's going to do a great job.
Wo ist mein Vaterland?
But what they did before he got there, I guess that's why he got there. And electricity prices are 64% higher. The United Kingdom produces just 1/3 of the total energy from all sources that it did in 1999. Think of that, 1/3. And they're sitting on top of the North Sea, one of the greatest reserves anywhere in the world, but they don't use it. And that's one reason why their energy has reached catastrophic.
The place he doesn't talk about when it comes to energy is France. Why? France is like what, 70% or something like that of their energy is nuclear? Something big like that. Some huge chunk, like 60, 70%. It's huge. Yes, absolutely.
Low levels with equally high prices. High prices, very low levels. Think of that, 1/3.
Terrible.
And you're sitting on top of the North Sea, and they like to say, well, you know, that's depleted. It's not depleted. It's got 500 years. They haven't even found the oil. The North Sea is incredible. They don't let anybody drill. Environmentally, they don't let them drill. They make it impossible for the oil companies to go. They take 92% of the revenues.
He's not wrong in this. I mean, the Europeans have screwed themselves on energy, except for the French in general, because the French just went hardcore nuclear. They've screwed themselves in energy. I hope America's figured this out. Cheap energy, we see all the time. Well, we have water and energy, water. If you have theory, unlimited energy, you have unlimited water. Why? Desalination, you can do it, right? You can make it happen. You can clean the water. If you have enough energy, you can purify any water. If you have enough energy, right? With enough energy, you can purify anything, right? That's the issue.
So the oil companies say, we can't do it. They came to see me. Is there anything you can do? I want Europe to do great. I want UK to do great.
True. Not sure.
They're sitting on one of the greatest energy sources in the world, and they don't use it.
Look at him just riffing.
In fact, their electricity prices have soared 139%.
This is terrible.
There are windmills all over Europe.
Yep.
There are windmills all over the place.
Yep.
And they are losers.
He's not wrong.
I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses, and the worse that country is doing.
Well,
China makes almost all of the windmills.
They make a lot.
And yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them, they sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buy them, but they don't use them themselves.
He literally says that. Look at him.
They put up a couple of big wind farms, but they don't use them. They just put them up to show people.
That's not true. About 10% of China's energy is wind. So that's not 100% true, but I get his point, but he's just being a jerk. That's not true. China does use wind. They are heavily moving towards nuclear now. They've been heavily on coal for a long time. They are moving towards nuclear now. They are doing that.
What they could look like. They don't spin. They don't do anything. They use a thing called coal mostly. But China
that's mostly coal, but they're moving away from it.
Yes. Oil and gas. They're starting to look at nuclear a little bit.
They are moving towards nuclear. He's right. John says, Europe buying oil and gas from Russia funded Putin's war against Ukraine. Yeah, and then they went to war basically against Russia, so now they have no oil. How stupid is that? Paula says, I think the anti-nukes not of the 70s is still being felt today. Yes. Now, they may not know how misguided it may be. Yeah, it's not anymore. He even said it. It's much safer now. Nuclear is much better.
They're doing just fine. They make a fortune selling the windmills, though, and I think really that's one that they wouldn't be surprised if it stopped. They are shocked that it continues to go. They're very friendly with me. They're shocked that people continue to buy those damn things. They killed the birds. They ruin your landscapes. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way. Stupid people buy them. The consequences of such destructive policies have.
Yeah, we're pouring them all over New York State. It's a bad idea.
Been stark, including lower economic growth, lower standards of living, lower birth rates, more socially disruptive migration, more vulnerability to hostile foreign adversaries, and much, much smaller militaries. The United States cares greatly about the people of Europe.
Wrong.
We really do. I mean, look, I am derived from Europe, Scotland and Germany, 100%.
See, half German like I am. Yeah, but he doesn't have the black part, though. Doesn't have that part. He's Scottish and German. I'm black and German. It's a little bit different.
Scotland, my mother, 100% German, my father. And we believe deeply in the bonds we share with Europe as a civilization. I want to see it do great. That's why issues like energy, trade, immigration, and economic growth must be central concerns to anyone who wants to see a strong and united West.
He's not wrong.
Because Europe and those countries have to do their thing. They have to get out of the culture that they've created over the last 10 years. It's horrible what they're doing to themselves. They're destroying themselves. It's beautiful, beautiful places. We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones. We want Europe to be strong.
He is just sitting here and insulting Europe. Is that insulting Europe, insulting it, just insults them.
Ultimately, these are matters of national security, and perhaps no current issue makes the situation more clear than what's currently going on with Greenland.
Oh, he goes to Greenland. Yes, Bronner. Low, some stupid people. Did he just call Europeans in Europe stupid? Yes. He's just dissing them. He's just insulting everybody. He just said, yeah, stupid people, you're stupid. Yeah, dumb. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Kay John says, I feel gross to share heritage with him. I need a shower. Well, not all Germans are cool. Paul says, maybe someone should run for governor of New York on a pro-nuclear platform. Oh, wait, he is. And you should share his post. True. You guys should click the like button if you have not. You should share my post if you have not. You should join the channel if you have not done so. Yes, you should. If you want to super chat me, you may, of course, click that super chat button. I know for those of you on Larry Sharpe, when I'm doing that, there's no super chat. There is super chat here. If you want to super chat, you may. It goes right to the front. I'm trying to take as many as I can because I know this is a long, but you're riding with me, and I appreciate you guys being my ride or die. So I appreciate that. Yes.
To say a few words of Greenland?
Greenland.
I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I think I would have been reviewed very negative.
You know, he's good at what he does. No matter what you got to say about him, the man's good at what he does. The guy can get up here and just riff and just say stuff and go, he's good at what he does. Not an or just
Carefully.
Gone.
I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark. Tremendous respect.
Where's the but?
But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States.
See that?
We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela.
See, F around, F out. Find out. Yes.
We saw this in World War II when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting.
Look at that. He's just insulting. Look at him go. Bronner, he's just dissing him. I love you, Danes. Couldn't fight more than 6 hours, though, against the Germans, chumps. Losers.
And was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled. We did it. We felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory. And hold it we did at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of
not true.
Getting on it. And they tried.
Okay. The Germans did not try to invade Greenland. That's not a thing. He made that up. Germans did not try to invade Greenland. It's not a thing. It didn't happen.
Denmark knows that. We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark.
True.